And now it's Deborah Kobylt Live.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today on Deborah Kobylt Live. And please welcome my guest, Treva Brandon Scharf, who has a terrific podcast called Done Being Single. And guess what? She's got a terrific book, too. And the title is, bingo, Done Being Single, Late Bloomers Guide to Love. Love the title, love the concept, love all of it. Because, in fact, you were a, quote, self-professed late bloomer getting to find the love of your life, right? So we're here to talk all about it. Thanks for
Yes.
joining us.
Well, thank
Thanks
you.
for joining
Thank
us.
you. If you love the book, you
Yeah.
love me.
Yeah, I already love you, right? She and I are just going off having a great time. We have mutual friends. By the way, thank you, Terry Hammerish, for suggesting this wonderful interview. She's a dear friend. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about done being single. Clearly, you were done because you're not single anymore. But what inspired you to write this?
Oh my gosh, it was 50 years in the making. Literally, this is a story that had to be told. I felt like, who gets married? Who gets even engaged at 50? And when I did get engaged, I started a blog because I thought, this is kind of funny. And also, the guy who proposed was also a late bloomer, and he had never been married, and he's 6 years older than me. So here we are. Yeah. So I kind of met my male counterpart, sort of my male alter ego. And I thought, how often does this happen? Not only a woman in her 50s gets engaged for the first time, but is engaged to a guy who also had never been married. So I started a blog.
I like to say you were busy with life. No longer do you have to look at the clock. You're 30 and you go, ain't much time left. I hope that that's behind us for many of us women. I mean, I did get married younger, but that was a different story. We just met and there it is, and we're still together. But for so many women, I think the pressure is off. There are different ways to have children, right? You could freeze your eggs, you can adopt. There's so much more. So you don't have that. You're not looking at the watch anymore. But let's take it back. I always like to dial it back to who you were as a kid. How did you grow up? All of that.
I grew up in Beverly Hills. Parents were in the entertainment business. Both were agents. I'm an only child. I was free range all the way. Kind of had to navigate my way around the world. And it was actually good training for single life because I also was raised by a single mother that was a businesswoman and very successful and actually really didn't need a man.
Now they divorced, right?
And they were divorced. And I kind of grew up watching this and thinking, well, I guess I don't really need a man, and who really does? And she didn't. She should have, though. Could have. I would have loved to have had a stepfather in the picture because she did date good guys. But it didn't happen. And so, and I don't know, the years just got away. And here I was 20, 30, 40 plus and still single.
Right. So what were you doing in those decades? Let's talk work first and, personal life. You grew up in Beverly Hills. It's a fun place. I imagine you spent much of your career here. So let's talk about what you were doing.
Oh, I went to college, a few different places, ended up in New York, became a copywriter, advertising copywriter, and spent 5 years there, came home, still wrote copy. I freelanced. I worked for my mother was an agent, commercial talent agent. I worked for her for a little bit. And then I got into the fitness business and became a trainer and did that for about 20 plus years and just sort of pivoted to life coaching and dating coaching in the last handful of years.
Yeah. And as a fitness coach, you were all in, right? I mean, privately, you were doing marathons, and this was a big thing in your life, wasn't it?
It was a huge thing. I believe in exercise. I believe in it for the body and soul and your head and your spirits and your psyche. There's a lot of parallels between actually dating and sports and fitness and life.
Yeah.
And I kind of weave that all in together into my coaching work with my clients.
Yeah. And the coaching work you do primarily is
mostly dating, although I am a life coach and I do work with people who are mostly reinventing or starting their second acts and have projects they'd like to pursue and either feel stuck or block or can't get going or can't or are gripped with procrastination. I tend to get them going. I'm a little bit of an accountability coach or a motivation mentor. So that's for the
That
life
is,
coaching stuff. And then for the dating stuff, I really do hold your hand. I mean, I partner with you on this journey, no matter how old you are. And I have clients from 30s on up.
and in so many ways, the two work together, right? If you're in your midlife and you're looking to make a change, it's a scary thing, right? So I imagine when you say that you help to motivate and whatever, people really do need a coach for that mid time in their life, because we get stuck. We all get stuck. I was there and I decided to pivot and do something else. Didn't quite know what I was doing, but I just went out there. And the
Yes.
same with the dating, right? Because dating has changed so much. Let's
Yes.
dial it back a little to how we used to meet people primarily,
Oh, yes.
at work. I mean, look, you were in advertising, you were in
Yes.
New York, you were in LA, you probably met lots of people through work, but
Yes.
never really found the one that was right for your soul, right? And I think I actually applaud you for not going into the wrong relationship. So many people end up in the wrong relationship, then they end up getting divorced anyway. Better just wait, ladies. But
Yeah, I
don't you
have,
think?
there's nothing, first of all, I just want to back up a little bit and say there is no shame in
No.
having a coach. And there have been many times during particularly my single years, where I wish I had someone like me talking to
That's
me
right.
and helping me. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is. There's so much involved in dating. There's so much about your own self-worth and your own self-concept that is involved, and who is even ever in touch with that. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't know what we don't know. So yes, so having
Mm.
a coach who can help you, as I like to say, find your greatness is
Yeah.
really important. As to being single for as many years as I was, and we talked about this in the pre-show. Yeah, there's no shame in that either.
No.
And it's really not as stigmatized as it used to be. Even in the few years I've been married, and I'm going to say 10 years, and I think this has to do a lot with social media and TikTok and younger, more empowered single people that are sort of singing the praises of being single. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not defective. There's nothing wrong with you if you want to take
Mm-hmm.
your time. I mean, well, I should say that time out. There could be something a little wrong with you. But that's what the coach does. That's what we
That's right.
do.
That's right. So
Yes.
let's talk about dating in this modern era, right? Because primarily, as I was just mentioning, you met people at work, you met them on the subway, you met them at the coffee shop. I'm hoping that still is the case, but I think people are so closed off. Do you not
Yes.
see people doing this all day? They don't
Yes.
do this.
Oh, yes,
They're
yes,
here.
yes.
And I'm
No.
thinking, you're never going to meet anybody doing that. So we
Yes.
got to do this. Go ahead, take it away. You're the expert. I don't really
Yeah.
know much
Oh,
about this.
listen,
Go ahead.
when I I was lucky to date in a time before apps.
Yeah.
So I know what it took. It takes effort, people. It takes, eye contact. It takes some human interaction. It does take some work. And when I was dating, when I first got online dating, it was like, oh, don't tell anybody we met this way. It's taboo. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, you're online. Oh my God. It was kind of embarrassing. Now people don't know how to meet without this.
Right.
They don't know what to do with themselves. And it's scary to me because it's like a muscle. Here we go, back to fitness. Meeting and
Mm.
greeting and interacting and human connections, meaningful human connections are like a muscle.
Mm.
And if you don't use it, you lose it and it atrophies. And then we get hooked on the phone and on the apps and thinking, well, I can't meet anybody. How am I going to do that out in the real world, IRL? Well, no, you can. You have to work that muscle. You have to keep practicing.
What do you tell people? Let's say I come to you, I'm 50 years old, and I've dated lots, but never really met someone that I felt was close to my heart. How would you start with me?
Okay. So you're of a generation that actually knows how to look at people and speak.
Right, right.
Okay. So you're already, we already have an advantage here with you. It's actually younger people that have become so conditioned to the screen and technology and so dependent on it that is going to take a little effort to put your phone down, take out the earbuds. This is for everybody. And smile. Just because you say good morning doesn't make you a weirdo. Just because you smile or say thank you, doesn't make you a creep. It is called human connection. And after this pandemic, we've gotten, with technology and the pandemic and the loss of social gathering places, so many stores are closed, so many retail has just disappeared. We are losing our meeting places. We're losing our ability to make those really real connections where you feel a vibe with someone, that feeling, boom, face to face. So yes, I would say, yeah, grab your balls, people. You're going to have to get up, get out of the house, put your phone down and talk.
Yeah. So I think dating's got to be different in different parts of the country, right? I live in LA, but I just spend time elsewhere in the country, and it's a quiet place. And I do notice there is that local coffee shop. It's got a little bit of community going on. Not everybody was here. And I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. I almost felt taken back because I didn't know what to do with myself in a way. And I thought, this is really neat. And the next day we went back to the same little coffee shop. Where are you from? What's your name? And I thought, oh, this is really cool. Oh, I remember this. I grew up with this. Dating, I guess, is different if you're in LA and New York or if you're in a smaller town, right? Because I think smaller town, maybe people connect more, community is bigger, right?
I don't know. I mean, people, I'm sure in New York City are face down in their phones.
Oh yeah, for sure. In New York City,
just
same
because,
thing.
Yeah. Again, I go back to this sort of plea. I'm begging everybody. You have to, yes, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. Small town, big city, it does not matter. And if you are online, and believe me, apps are great. Online is fantastic. I just have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with it. If you do meet somebody on the apps, get off the app as soon as possible and go meet them as soon as possible. Do not keep this texting thing going and going, because I'll tell you what, it can never live up to the hype when you finally meet that person. There's no way. You'll get your hopes all up high, and then boom, you meet them, and usually you're not, something gets lost in translation. So yes, get off the apps and meet the person as soon as possible.
That's a great tip. Any others that you'd like to give our audience if they're app bound and that's kind of what they're choosing to meet people? That's a good one.
Spend as much time offline as you do online. Okay. So like exercise, you may hate it. You may hate working out. You're just going to have to, if you want to make those really great, and by the way, I should preface this by saying, I know people who've met online and got married.
Yeah, okay? I do too. Yeah.
Right. So fantastic. But for those of you who are not having success and are getting burned out and pissed off and hardened and jaded and at your wit's end, put it down, go out and get involved with a meetup group. Go have your coffee at a coffee house. Whatever you do at home, try to do it outside. Join a gym, get involved. Volunteer work. Oh my God, great place to meet people. And if you don't meet guys or women, maybe those people know people. You're always sort of like 2 degrees away from meeting someone. That's how I look at it.
That is such a great point. And I know you're a marathoner. I've marathoned. When I was training for one of them, you get up early in the morning, right? I was with a group and it was 5:30 in the morning. I met over at the Totem Pole in Santa Monica.
Oh my God, I did that at the Totem.
Oh, really? Gosh, we were probably together. But, and then you make your way down to Venice. Yes. Yeah, with a group, terrific people, young, old, fit, not fit. Everybody's just trying to do their thing. And what happened? Everybody's talking. We all got to know each other. Oh, Susie over here would really like to meet somebody. Who do we know that would fit with Susie? So you're absolutely right to your point. Get out, do something, and then let people get to know you. And that is how, you're right. 6 degrees of separation. If eventually somebody knows somebody you can connect with.
Yes, like, somebody knows somebody. Yes, yeah. And, while you're doing your thing out in, the world, life happens. My dad used to say, and I think he quoted John Lennon, life is what happens to you while you're making plans. Is that, I think, a John Lennon quote? That was one of my father's favorite quotes. And it's true. It's true. While you're out, you're with your friends, you're living life, you're doing your thing, you're pursuing your passions, and you're finding a purpose. Who knows? You may meet someone. But then again, you may meet someone at line at CVS. You may just turn to someone and say, oh my gosh, this line is taking forever. And then boom, there's your icebreaker. There's your sort of your entree.
And to your point, it's almost like heads up, right? Heads up.
Yes.
Look this way, make that eye contact.
Yes.
It's not old fashioned to make the good old eye contact. Let's talk a little bit about some of your dating experiences, because I'm sure that you talk about it. So some of them that you would like to share with our audience.
The ones that are G-rated.
Honey, this is a podcast. You can go G, X, whatever you want.
The ones that aren't from a Stephen King movie or a...
No. We want all the good, juicy ones. Please have it out there. Go ahead.
Oh, man. They were great. And I'm going to just say something. I actually enjoyed being single. Yeah. Until I didn't. But I actually did. This was my rhythm. I did not go at the pace of most normal 20 and 30-year-olds. I just kind of marched to the beat of my own drummer. And so I enjoyed it. I got the most out of it. I met great people. I used it. This is what I'm saying. I used it as a way to broaden my horizons.
And live.
Yes. And network. Yeah. And meet, business people and make connections. And it's all part of just furthering your life, right? Your just social, your net. So yes, I had great dating experience, and for the most part, I did. I had some losers. I had some duds. But for the most part, I lucked out. They weren't horrific. I did get a lot of bad behavior. I did see the beginnings of bad behavior online. So I know it can be a cesspool. It's
like what? What were people doing?
Guys who are just angry, bitter. This is what happens if you stay online too long. It will make you bitter. It will, make you kind of, angry and short and impatient. And so I did see that. And I know now it's way, way, way worse. We're living in a very toxic social media world where people are just behind their screens and they can do anything and say anything and be as big of assholes as they want to be, because there's no accountability. That's the problem with online dating and just online in life. There's no accountability. There are no consequences. So, but I didn't, I saw a little bit. Luckily, I had enough out there in the real world, organic, meeting, that you kind of sized up somebody pretty quickly. That's not to say that just because you meet somebody in real life that they're going to be perfect or they're the one, but you do get a better, quicker vibe, obviously, when you see someone and you can size them up a little bit. So I had a lot of experiences. I'd like to say I've walked in a lot of people's shoes. I've kind of had everyone I talk to, all my clients and people I talk to just out in the world at book signings and whatnot, they'll say, well, I did have this experience. I said, I had that experience. Oh my God, that happened to me. So it seems like there's always sort of a common thread with everybody's dating experience. We've all had, the ones that just aren't great. And we have great ones that go nowhere.
I have a couple of questions for you. One is going to be about sex. The next one is going to be about feminism and, who pays the check kind of stuff. Yes. Let's first talk about sex on the first date or no. Like, what do you suggest? I mean, what do you think? When to do it?
Okay, so Uh-oh.
Where are we going?
I love sex. Sex is great. Sex is awesome. Sex is, sometimes you need it, and you need to, for whatever different reasons. I would only advise somebody. Okay, no, I'm just going to say for the record, no, I'm not for I'm not for sex on the first date. I don't care. I just think it's a bad idea. I just think that's something you kind of work your way up to and into. And I know a lot of people who said they've had sex on the first date and it was great. And they say, whoa, well, it's good. You get to know someone and you get that out of the way. No, you kind of, that's a little backwards. I'd like to,
I think so.
Sort of build to get to that point, because let me tell you something, if the sex is bad, on date one, you're never going to want to see that person again. So it's going to just, it's kind of going to blow the wind out of your, blow the wind out of your sails. So yes, wait. You can't wait enough. What is the harm in waiting? And I'm a little old school that way. I'm a little old fashioned. And as we segue into this next topic about feminism versus modern dating, okay, there's a little bit of disconnect here. There's a little bit of inner conflict for me, because I am of a generation that is a little old school when it comes to, I like to say I'm an old fashioned romantic.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe men should pursue. I think it is ingrained in them. I think it is primal. I think it is hardwired into men to want to pursue, hunt, chase. Okay. It's called evolutionary psychology. So yes, I also believe in old fashioned chivalry. I do. And yet I'm a progressive feminist. I was a progressive dater. I had to be a strong, empowered single woman.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I made my own money. And yes, I know women they want equal, they have equal rights. And yes, they demand equal pay. And yes, and I'm speaking to my friend Grant, who asked this question on Facebook. What the hypocrisy between women who demand to equal pay and women who demand for the man to pay for them for dinner. How do you square that?
I don't know. That's a really, really great question. And everything you're saying is really true about a little bit of chivalry. You know what? If I were in the dating world, I think here's what I might do. I might take out my credit card to maybe go Dutch. And I'd be just thrilled if he ended up saying, that's okay, I've got it. I'd be like, yes. You know what I mean? So he showed a little bit of chivalry. I showed a little bit of, hey, we're equal in this. But then he decided to take a step and say, it's okay, I got this. You can even get the next one. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I want to just circle back for a second about the sex thing. Ladies, this is just my advice. I'm no professional. Just wait a little bit, because it's such an emotional component too. And I don't know. I just think, wait for maybe date 3 or something, just let it build a little bit. There's a lot of emotions that are attached to it. Even if people say that's not true, I think it is the case. I really do. I think getting into it too quickly, and you're right. I know people also who've had a great, sex on their first date, and it did work out. But for the most part, to your point, it's okay to wait. Yeah, don't chance it, right?
You can always have it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? Ooh. So wait, and why risk? Why risk it? To me, mystery is sexy. To me, slowness is hot. That builds. And even, let's just say you've waited date 3, 4, 5, 6, go ahead, keep going wait for sex. Let's just say you get to date number whatever, and you've actually developed some feelings for this person, and you really like them as a person. You like their soul, right? So that by the time you guys jump in the sack, it's, you already like them. You already kind of dig who they are, and, forgetting about whether the sex is good or not. This is the problem with sex too soon. It's all about the sex, right? And it becomes less about the person.
Yeah. I read about people who are wanting to know about what somebody makes before they even go on a date. They want to see a bank account. Is that kind of stuff true? Is that really going on? How crazy is that? And man, if that ever happened to me, I'd run the other direction.
No,
right?
I don't believe with especially younger daters, they say, well, you women now, you want 6 figures, a 6-pack, and 6 feet. Okay.
Oh God.
Right. Because here's what online dating has done to us. It's made us like somehow we're super picky and we are super entitled. because we can, if this one doesn't work, well, I'll just go back online and meet another one who's even better and better and better and better. And no, that doesn't work. It's an illusion. It's the paradox of choice. You have all this choice, right? And you think, well, and this is why people do not invest with one person. They just, if the slightest little thing, oh, he's got a quirk, or she's got a thing that I don't really dig, throw them back they throw it back. There's not like it was when, pre-app, where you gave someone a few shots, right? You kept going. Now it's too fast, too soon. And people don't have the wherewithal to hang in there and actually get to know someone despite their quirks and, possible, I don't know, flaws.
Yeah. But so much has changed in our generation, right? Because we would look back. I wasn't born in the 50s, but, you look back at TV shows and, the women had their aprons, right? They were, if you will, subservient to their husband, and they were, taking care of the family, but that was sort of it. And told that that's what makes you happy. And then, of course, women went out there and they were, throwing the bras out. They could be feminists and do whatever work it was they wanted. Thank God that happened, because, it led to people like us who could pursue our careers. Right.
Yes.
And then, you've got the Me Too movement, and we're now in the post Me Too movement.
Yes.
And post COVID. I mean, what a mess, right?
Yes.
Just so much has changed in our time.
Yes.
Where, my head is spinning around. Is it really the best thing to go back to? What do you tell your people? Go back to the old values that have worked for literally centuries? Is it a hybrid?
It's a hybrid. It's what you said earlier about going on a first date and offering to split the check. Offer, be that empowered single woman, be that sufficient, independent single person. And if the guy says, no, let me do this. Beautiful. That's an old-fashioned little romantic, etiquette thing. I love it. I love guys who open doors. I love guys that, just stand up when I sit down. I mean, I'm from a generation that actually still really values those things. I can't remember what the original question was. Oh, I wanted to speak to Me Too. Okay.
Yeah.
So Me Too, a lot has changed for the better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the pendulum might have swung the other way, a little bit, because I like that men are being held to account. I like that men are on notice that their behavior does not fly anymore. You cannot be a harasser or an abuser. You cannot do that anymore. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But it's made it, we talk about, I'm singing the praises of meeting in real life, right? How do you, in the post Me Too era, approach a woman?
Yeah.
How do you do this with some, awareness and some, how do we do it? Women, how do you accept a guy who approaches you without feeling threatened? So men are having to take a different tack now, which is fine. And I do coach guys on how to do this, because there's a little bit of an art to it now.
Yeah.
Okay. There really is. And it's kind of cool. There's a little bit
of
that. There's a little
what
bit
do you,
of, go ahead.
What do you say? What do you tell them? Like,
if I was, if I was a guy, you want to role play a little bit?
Yeah, please. Wait, you're the guy?
Okay, I'm the guy. I would say, if I saw you, you are gorgeous, Deborah. Oh my gosh, I want you're with maybe some other women, you're at a bar, you're in a restaurant, at a little party, something, right? I see you from across the room. You look interesting. I want to know who you are. You're attractive and you look interesting. So I'm going to sort of get my way over to you and almost
walk on over. Hey there. Yeah,
and almost kind of like ask permission. I would preface it and I would say, excuse me, this may, I don't do this often, or I just want you to know, this might be uncomfortable. This is slightly awkward. Yes, this is, in this day and age, but I have to tell you, I find you very attractive. and I'd like to get to know you, or I'd like to find out more about you. Do you mind if I step up? Do you mind if I act? There's a little bit of a permission. There's a little bit, if Me Too has taught us anything, that consent, wow, it's really important, even in the smallest of social transactions now with the opposite sex. And for women too. Now, women, I'm talking to you, okay? Women, yes. So it's good. It's cool for you to make the first move now. I never thought I'd say that, because I'm old school. I'm very old fashioned. But the truth is that men are going to need a little help, and they're going to need a little bit of a sort of a welcome, like, so for women, if they see a guy across the room, if they see a guy in the grocery store and looks interesting, I'd say, look, this is really awkward for me, but I don't do this. I'm not good at this, but you look very interesting, or ask him a question. That's a great icebreaker. Excuse me, I need help. Can you help me reach for this? Or I have a question about this product. Somehow open the conversation. And if it's awkward, and if you're online and you're not used to making the first move, say, it's awkward for me, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I would have such a hard time with that, because I'm not a great, not that anything you're suggesting is flirting, but I am not good at that. I will look away if somebody's looking. I remember being single like so far back in the day, and my girlfriends would be like, my gosh, she's looking at you, look back. And I'm like, I just can't. I just couldn't do it. I was so embarrassed. I was terrible. Thank God I ended up meeting somebody and getting married. And, it was just so difficult. But for a woman to ask a guy, yeah. Ladies, you do have to be just as gutsy. I have a little bit of advice. Do something outdoors, and let's, find something outdoors wherever you live. Would you like to go on a hike?
Yeah.
Would you like to go on a bike ride? Now, believe it or not, I asked my husband way back in the day, hey, you want to go bike riding? It actually was not to go on a date. It's because I actually wanted to go bike riding with him. I thought it would be fun. So I guess I would have made the first move, right? But it was something that is non-threatening for a guy or a girl, right? Just find something non-threatening, I think, is a really good way to go. Wow.
Yes. I mean, look, we're not all born like, we're not all Rico Suaves, we're not all super good at this thing. But that's kind of adorable. And I make the point in the book about introverts and shy people. And I happen to find, people say, oh, I want a confident guy. I want a confident guy. You know what? Confidence is overrated. Give me someone who's humble. Give me someone who's authentic. I find that extremely compelling and honest, and saying, this is a little awkward for me, but do you mind if I tell you that you're attractive? Or, maybe you're talking to somebody in a store, and you could say, would you like to continue this conversation elsewhere, and see how that leads? I love old-fashioned romance. I love the flirting and the courting. I think it's a beautiful dance, and we can't lose that. And my fear with modern dating, and sometimes with feminism, that it is going to be the ruination of romance, as at least we used to know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to do stuff the way it's been done for centuries, people. Really, it's worked. So a little bit of a hybrid, but, look somebody in the eye. And for that, I would need you as a coach, I have to tell you, because I am terribly shy when it comes to situations. I'm even like that at parties. I'll sort of go off in the corner, and people will be like, where'd she go? Because I get incredibly uncomfortable around people I don't know. So for that, if anybody's like that, give Treva a call, because I know that you coach people through it. I talk to people about you, and you're the best. And you really do help people sort of find you help people find who they are, their personalities, work with the personality you have, so that you get, what you really want in the end. Now, before I let you go, let me just ask you briefly, how did you meet your husband?
Well, I kind of met him on Facebook. So
there you go.
Here's to technology. Except that we already knew each other. We went to the same high school.
Oh,
We had all these mutual friends, and it wasn't a huge heavy lift to reach out to me, which was he actually reached out to me not because he was hitting on me. He messaged me about a mutual friend that was having a
right.
hard time. So that was kind of how the conversation started, and it took many more months to actually meet him. But yeah,
Oh,
God bless social media, I guess, right?
yeah, but that's in a way, Facebook is, shall I say, a little old school. In other words, it's safe, right? Because you could sort of scroll and see kind of what they're doing, what they've done, who their friends are. And I feel like it's a safe space. So the fact that
It's
he like messaged you there, you knew the same people, I think that's really great. And it worked.
it was a no pressure space, no
Yeah.
expectations, no pressure.
Yeah.
And I want to say a word about expectations, because that is a
Mm.
killer. You can do all the right things, you can look great, you can put yourself in the right places, do everything right, and if you have expectations, better, this is what I always say, to me, dating is a combination of action and acceptance. Okay.
Mm.
You make the effort, and then you surrender, and you detach from the outcome. Okay. That is, go without expectations, and you will never be disappointed.
That's great. And for more advice from Treva, pick up the book, Done Being Single. This book's great. There's a lot in there. I actually had some of my favorite chapters that I footnoted. The late blooming bride grows balls.
Yes.
Um, single for 50 years, but hey, who's counting? There's a lot in here that I think a lot of people can get out of, even if you have a friend,
Yes.
family member. You also do coaching. I want to,
Yes.
if you feel like you just need a little help, reach
Yes.
out, right?
Yes. So, yes. And so the thing about the book and about me and my life and my coaching is that I'm not kidding. This is 50 years in the making, right?
Yeah,
So in those many years, I learned so much. I
right.
learned about human nature. I learned about the human condition. I learned
Yeah,
about men. I learned about, life and love. And this is not just for people looking for love. It's for people who've already found it also. There's a ton of life advice in here that is applicable to dating, because to me, life advice is dating advice.
yeah.
Dating advice is life advice. It is really, at the end of the day, common sense. And I was out there for many years, people in the trenches. I got some advice. I got some wisdom.
I have one you should also look into, and I also think that you can apply it to this book. People looking to make friends later in life. I think
Yes.
that's really hard, particularly post COVID. I know a
Yes.
lot of people I know and
Yes.
absolutely love. They took
Yes.
off, they moved, their kids are gone, so they took. And I'm
Yes.
like, wait a minute. I have half my friend group. Where'd they go?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how do I make friends now, because my kids aren't in school and I don't necessarily go into a studio every day. I do a lot of remote work. It's sort of the same principle. You have to learn how to make
Yes.
friends too. So you can apply a lot of this to many areas in your life.
Yes.
So,
Oh my gosh, start with what you love.
yeah,
Start with the things you dig.
yeah,
um are you an art person? Are you a foodie? Do you like
mm-hmm,
wine tasting? Are you a dog person? mm Start with the
mm,
things you like, and they will take you to the places where you will find other like-minded people, right? And that's how it starts. Forget about dating, just make some great friends. Love is never guaranteed.
yeah,
We hope and we pray and we work hard for it, but this is where the surrender comes in. It
yeah,
may not happen, but here's what: if you, even if a great guy or woman doesn't show up, a great life will. And
mm,
that is what, at the core of what I do as a coach, because I can't promise you're going to meet the one. I can't say that our work
yeah,
together will yield, right, the man or woman of your dreams, but here's what: it will yield the life that you love, and you will feel full.
yeah,
And yes, and my theory is, the happy you are being single, the sooner you won't be single, right?
yeah,
Because that energy that sense of, fulfillingness in your life, it radiates. It just, people pick up on that. It's kind of infectious and contagious, and people want to know you because of that. And by the way, I cannot believe that you're shy at all. You are such a dynamic powerhouse. I can't believe for one second that you would be like not a,
I'm extremely shy in
flirter.
person. No, I have to know someone a little better, and I'm not super great at a lot of the small talk. And I promise you, at many a party, and I really mean this, you'll find me either in the bathroom because I'm so shy, I prefer to sort of hide a little, or you'll find me in a corner. And it's very, very hard for me. And half the time I sort of pretend that I'm outgoing, but I'm really not. Like it's way in here.
Okay.
Well, and I need that microphone to keep myself going, right?
Okay, but you know what? But God bless for you to admit that and know that about yourself. And I'm sure there's a lot of people watching right now that feel the same way. And to that, I would say there's something to be said about faking it till you make it, right?
Well, being a reporter, a little bit, you're on, right? So you're doing your work and you're on. It's like a lot of performers, I'm sure you've read about that. They tend to be very quiet people. I think because we're always thinking and looking at people and observing, not judging, but just observing. And I think that's what it is. I think that's the personality I have. So it takes me quite a while. But everybody's different, right? There's extroverts, there's introverts. Some are people in the middle. I'm an observer. So I know people are always stunned. They're like, you? I'm like, if you're looking for me at the party, I'll be in the bathroom. Anyway.
Yeah. So, different strokes for different folks. And I would just say that, again, if you're, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you approach someone and say, I'm super shy, I'm just going to tell you, I'm really shy. This is very weird for me to do this, but I think you are blank, or I would like to talk to you, or would you mind? Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Thanks for the permission. Thank you for asking. Thank you for telling me a little bit about yourself. Okay.
Oh, that's shy, great.
Right. You get it. Lead with the truth, babe. Lead with your truth. If you're shy, go all in on the shy. If you're an introvert, go all in. Okay. And there's something to be said for facing your fears. I like that because, avoidance, if you keep avoiding something in your mind, you then think of that thing as being dangerous, right? Avoidance, danger. The more you do it, and the more you do it with a sense of authenticity and who you are, you'll get there.
You know what, people? It ain't going to kill you either. Just try it, right? Because as to your point, throughout this entire interview, you learn something about yourself. You grow even just a little bit. You're going to learn something. Just that's another thing. Just get out there and do something. Get out of the comfort zone a little bit. It's, you can hold on to the table as you're fighting your way there. But I just say do it. I have friends who are, and we're going to have to go in a minute, who don't really get themselves out there. And I try and say, just try. It's okay if you fail. I fail all the time. Just try it because you do learn something. Anyway, there's so much to learn in your book, on your podcast, and with your coaching. Done being single. Treva, tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Okay. So the best way to find me is to go to my website, which is my name, trevabrandonscharf.com. You can learn more about me, read my bio, and check out my coaching services. You can contact me. And then you can also follow me on Instagram at TrevaBeMe. Treva Be Me.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. I was so thrilled. And thank you to our friend Terry for introducing us. It's wonderful. I hope to have some.
Terry, thank you. And thank you for Grant. Grant, if you're tuning in, I love you. And that was a great question. And we will talk more about the ever-shifting dating power dynamics. It's really a great conversation to have.
Yeah. Thank you, Grant. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Deborah Kobylt Live. Please tell your friends, join us, like us, subscribe to us. We'd appreciate it. We are we're an audio and video podcast. You can find us everywhere. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Kobylt, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.